Okay, so we've all been there, right? You get super fired up to start a new habit. Maybe it's exercising more, meditating, reading every single day, only to watch that motivation just fizzle out after a week or two. It's so frustrating. But what if I told you the solution isn't about just trying harder or having more willpower?
It really is the million-dollar question. You start out with the absolute best intentions, but then, life happens. It gets in the way, and that new routine you were so pumped about just kind of vanishes. And it's so easy to feel like you've somehow failed.
But this is so important to hear. This is not a personal failing. It is not a sign of weak willpower. The research is actually super clear on this. Making habits stick isn't about brute force. It's about having the right strategy, one that works with your brain, not against it. So, first things first, let's just bust a huge myth. You've probably heard it takes 21 days to form a habit. Well, a landmark study found that the actual range is anywhere from 18 days to, get this, a whopping 254 days. The average was about 66 days. So right off the bat, we need to be a little more patient with ourselves. This stuff takes time. Now, the good news is that huge range isn't just random. It actually shows there's a massive potential to get better and faster at this. Why? Because it's all determined by the techniques we use. And lucky for us, science has given us a really clear blueprint to follow.
And here it is. This is the core framework, a 5-step blueprint that's been distilled from tons of studies. It's pretty straightforward. First, you need a clear, specific goal. Then you plan for the obstacles. Third, you tie your new habit to something you already do. Fourth, you give yourself a reward. And finally, you track your progress. Let's really dig into those first 3 because they build the foundation for everything else.
All right, step 1. Vague goals are where things fall apart. Saying, I want to start meditating is a nice thought, but it's not a plan. A specific goal like I will meditate for 5 minutes each day, now that's something you can actually do. It's quantifiable. You know exactly what success looks like, which makes it way easier to achieve. Now, step 2 is where the magic really starts to happen. It's called an implementation intention. Basically, you don't just plan for things to go right, you plan for when they go wrong. Thinking, okay, if I feel too rushed in the morning, then I'll just meditate for 1 minute. That totally removes the excuse of not having enough time because you've already decided what to do before the obstacle even shows up. It's brilliant. And this leads us to this really powerful idea called habit stacking. Instead of relying on some notification on your phone, you just link your new habit to an old one that's already on autopilot. For example, right after I brush my teeth in the morning, I will meditate. Boom! The trigger is already built into your day, making the new behavior feel so much more automatic.
So this 5-step blueprint, it's incredibly powerful, for sure. But what if there was a way to make habits form even faster? What if there was some kind of secret ingredient that could supercharge this whole process, especially that 4th step we mentioned, the incentive?
Well, it turns out there is. The research points to one incredibly powerful factor: perceived reward. And this isn't just about giving yourself a cookie. It's about how you actually feel about the behavior itself. And this, right here, is what separates the habits that stick from the ones that don't.
A fascinating study from 2018 really breaks this down. There's something called perceived utility. That's when you know something is good for you, like flossing or eating your vegetables. But then there's intrinsic motivation. That's when you actually enjoy it. And what the study found was that just knowing a habit is useful, well, that's just not what makes it stick. This quote from the study really gets to the heart of it. A rewarded behavior becomes habitual more quickly. What that really means is when an activity is genuinely pleasurable, each time you do it, it doesn't just count, it counts for more. Every single enjoyable repetition builds that habit stronger and faster. So the big takeaway here is simple. Stop forcing yourself to do something you hate. Instead, find a version of the habit you might genuinely enjoy. You don't like running? Try dancing. You hate kale salads? Find a healthy meal you actually look forward to eating. Enjoyment isn't a luxury, it's the accelerator. Okay, but let's be real for a second. No matter how perfect your plan is or how much you love your new habit, you are going to miss a day. A crazy week at work, a vacation, you get sick, life happens. Does that mean all your progress is just gone? No, absolutely not. And this is where we have to shift our mindset from this all-or-nothing approach to one of resilience. The true measure of a strong habit isn't that you never, ever break the chain. It's how quickly you get back on track. It's all about building a practice that's sustainable, not some fragile winning streak. Building this kind of resilience really just means practicing self-compassion instead of beating yourself up. It means accepting that feeling of frustration when you have a setback, but not letting it totally derail you. Sometimes the most important thing you can do is just focus on the absolute basics. Breathe, eat, sleep, and just trust that you can start again tomorrow.
So, let's bring this all together. Forget about willpower. Focus on a clear plan, and most importantly, find the joy in it. So I'll just leave you with this question to think about. What's one small habit you could start today? Not because you feel like you should, but because you might genuinely enjoy doing it. Because that right there is where the real change begins.